The Los Angeles Police Department has spent 20 years trying to overcome an image of being tough and sometimes brutal. This morning, Brian Mulligan, a banker connected to the movie industry, claims he was kidnapped and beaten by LA police officers, and so he has filed a $50 million claim with the city. Senior correspondent John Miller, former LAPD deputy commissioner, joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Charlie. This is a bizarre story. Like a lot of Hollywood stories, there are two versions of the script here. And while the actors are the same, the plot lines couldn't be more different. According to police, Mulligan was acting strangely, out of control, and had to be subdued. According to Mulligan, he had 3 separate encounters with police that night, part of a bizarre conspiracy to rob him or frame him. But here, you listen to Mulligan's version first, and then what the police say happened.
This is what Brian Mulligan looked like in his lawyer's office this week.
I anticipate we're going to have to file a lawsuit.
The very picture of the powerful Hollywood banker.
Yep.
But this is what he looked like after his encounter with the LAPD in May.
He got hit right across the face, fracturing his nose in 15 spots. And then they jumped on him and they caused a lot of other scrapes about his body, lacerations to his face.
Here is Mulligan's version as told by his lawyers. On May 15th, Mulligan was stopped by police on the street near a medical marijuana dispensary. He says he was detained and questioned and then told to go into this building to meet another police officer. Mulligan claims he heard a man being beaten inside, so he fled. 2 hours later, and blocks away, Mulligan says he was detained by other officers and then taken to a motel where he claims he was told by police if he left, he would be killed. According to his lawyers, Mulligan suspected the police might be after the $5,000 in cash they found in his possession. Later, fearful, he left the motel but was found by police a few blocks away. Mulligan's lawyer claims police chased Mulligan down and beat him up.
Now here's a guy that was unarmed, that had committed no crimes, and why they're using this kind of force to take him into custody is just absolutely mind-boggling.
Here is the LAPD's version of the story. Police say officers responded to calls about a man trying to break into cars near this Jack-in-the-Box. When they came upon Mulligan, they questioned him, and they say they found $5,000 in cash in his possession. The police report says Mulligan admitted to police that he had used marijuana and ingested bath salts 4 days earlier.
He was very much out of it. They believed he was under the influence of some type of controlled substance, so they called out a drug recognition expert to do a field evaluation.
The LAPD says Mulligan passed the drug evaluation test and asked officers to drop him off at this motel to get some rest.
Mr. Mulligan was taken to a motel at his request. The officers, were doing what they felt was in the best interest of his public safety.
Hours later, police say they spotted Mulligan again, now running through traffic, trying to get into occupied automobiles. When police confronted him, the police report says Mulligan abruptly turned around and took a combative stance by arching his back, holding up both arms above his head, contorting his hands in a claw-like manner, while simultaneously baring his teeth and snarling.
And it was at that point that the officers, grabbed a hold of him to control him, took him to the ground, and handcuffed him. And during that process, during that use of force, he did sustain some injuries that required hospitalization.
Mulligan's lawyers claim the facts contained in the police report are just part of the cover-up.
The officers are trying to exculpate themselves from their unmerciful beating of Mr. Mulligan.
So there you have two versions of what happened that night, and one thing is clear in this story: someone is lying. Now both sides have their own investigations. Mulligan's lawyers have demanded documents and hired investigators. The LAPD, as is routine in a case like this when there's an injury, is investigating the use of force and whether it's appropriate. But since the consent decree, the Rodney King case, the LAPD protocol there is one of the most extensive and comprehensive investigations of any department in the country. So We'll hear more about this story.
Well, you started it right, saying bizarre.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Very
John.
bizarre.